If you want to play some funk or some soul, you've got to get on the one. And there's almost no better way to do that than with the Godfather of Soul, the originator of the one, Mr. James Brown himself. Hey, I'm Luke from Become a Bassist, and in this lesson, I want to show you 5 incredible bass lines from 5 incredible James Brown bass players that will show you how to get on the one, find it, stay there, and make it feel the way it should. Welcome to Become a Bassist, where it is all about insanely practical, no BS bass lessons designed to get you playing better bass, having more fun, becoming the best bassist you can be. And today is going to be freaking great because we're looking at the soul and funk bass lines of Mr. James Brown. Now, if you want to follow along, I've got the tabs, notation, and practice tracks for all these bass lines up for free on becomeabassist.com. Just click the link in the description to grab them for yourself. You know who he is, I know who he is, so let's jump right in and see if we can find the one with these bass lines. Our first bass line was recorded in 1965 with bassist David Hooks Williams, and it sounds like this. Pretty sure you know this one. 1, 2, 3, and. Yeah? It's classic James Brown. It's I Feel Good, right? Now, as far as how to play this one, it's reasonably simple. We're using a lot of, it's a D blues essentially, and we're starting off in this little box here. We've got a low D, high D, C, and A. That's 5th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the G string, and then 7th fret on the A string right there. And we're getting it in this kind of, pattern. That's our first phrase. Now, the horns in this song are actually playing the major 7 there. They're playing like C sharps, but the bass is definitely playing a C there. It's one of these things where technically it's, incorrect, but it still sounds good, right? Who cares if there's like that little clash there? I'm like kind of into this song. But we're getting this kind of thing. And then we get one more low D, and then we get this little rundown from the D, C, and then the A. So we get dun, 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 and then it repeats twice. Dun, and then we get the same exact pattern, except starting on this G right here. The one difference here is instead of going to this D, which we normally would, we'd go to this C instead, and then go back up to that D. So this pattern on the G is the 3rd fret on the E string, 5th fret on the D string, 3rd fret on the D string, and then 3rd fret on the A string as well. So we get back up to that D there. Same thing as we had at the start. Then 2 hits on this A, 7th fret on the D string, 2 hits on the G, 5th fret on the D string, and then we get this fancy little run that goes. So we get D, F sharp, A, C, and E, all offbeat, all nice and short. 5th fret on the A string, 4th and 7th fret on the D string, 5th and 9th fret on the G string. All offbeats, right? Super fun. Now, to me, I'm hearing this in kind of 2-bar phrases. The one here doesn't necessarily mean that we're hitting beat 1 super hard on every single bar. This one, it comes around almost like every 2 bars. Those low Ds and those low Gs, you can hit those harder than every other note in each phrase, and it'll start sounding pretty good, right? We get really giving those low notes some beef, putting some kind of wood behind those arrows. It's going to sound really cool. Now, those last few bars, there's no 1 at all, right? We're getting 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. But that just means that the notes that come around after that are going to have even more impact. So when we get the I feel that one there, it's going to sound super fat. Now, there is a bridge section as well, and I've included that in the free download of the tabs and notation, so you'll be able to play along with the whole song if you want. But right now, let's move on to 1967 with an amazing bass line from Bernard Odom. It is Cold Sweat, and it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, and. this is such a cool bass line. The story goes apparently that James Brown was super inspired after a really cool show, and he sang this bass line to his saxophone player Pee Wee Ellis, who then wrote it out for him and got the band to play it. Some people credit this as being the very first true funk song, and man, it's such a cool line, right? And unlike I Feel Good, which was like a blues, this song just kind of hangs out on that D chord for ages. And as far as how to play it, it's actually kind of similar to the I Feel Good thing. We start off with a very kind of similar phrase. We get a low D, high D, that same C and A shape as well. And then up to the high D as well. Now in the second bar, we actually go down to the low D and then immediately down to this low F sharp, the second fret on the E string. And then we get two more of those, and then we get this kind of G sharp, A, C sharp kind of idea. So third, fourth, and fifth fret on the E string, then fourth fret on the A string. Very, very cool line. And again, a 2-bar phrase, right? We do get a super strong D in the first bar. In the second bar, it's really kind of de-emphasized. We're getting... It's kind of a little bit shorter, and we go right down to that low F sharp after it, which makes the F sharp kind of feel a little bit heavier than the D right there. Every 2 bars though, that one on the D, give that one some juice. So if we go back to playing with the track, and 1, 2, give the one, one. Really, every time that D comes around, every 2 bars, give that one some juice. That one is going to feel nice and fat. Again, there is kind of a bridge section as well, and I've included the tabs and the tracks for that one too on the site. And next, we finally get to Bootsy, Mr. Bootsy Collins. You can't talk about James Brown without giving, Bootsy Collins at least a little bit of a mention. So our truly third epic James Brown bass line sounds like this. 2, 3, 1. Yeah, that's kind of the core of the phrase in there. We're starting on this E flat right here. It's a lot of E flat, D flat, high E flats up here. So we're getting a lot of 6th and 4th frets on the A string, lots of this 8th fret on the G string right here, this high E flat. So we start off by getting E flat, D flat up to the E flat, then high E flat up here, and then D flat, E flat, E flat, just like that. And our second bar, we're getting low E flat, high E flat, then D flat, low E flat, high E flat again, and then again D flat and E flat, 2 little 16ths there. And then we get this sneaky little phrase right here. We get G, B, and D flat. Sorry, B flat right there, not a B, and D flat. 3rd and 6th fret on the E string, 4th fret on the A string right there. Yeah. Now for an easier version, you can simply just take out those octave jumps, so you'd end up with just like that. Makes things a lot easier. And some people even wonder if Bootsy actually played those high E flats. Some people say he did, some people disagree. Whatever it is though, that's, the core of the line. Now for this one, we get super strong ones on just about every bar. Even though I do kind of hear this as more of a 2-bar phrase, every time you get that lick, that G, B flat, D flat lick at the end there, you need to make sure that the E flat that comes after that, super strong there. Feel free to really give that one, a bit of juice. Now again, like I said, there are tons of variations you can put in this line, and I have included some of them in the PDF, but the one thing they all have in common is they're all on the one, super, super hard, super fat, super with the drums. Do that on this bass line and it'll feel great. The next one is probably the simplest bass line so far, and it comes from Fred Thomas, 1973. It's People Get Up and Drive Your Funky Soul. 2, 3, 4. Yeah? This one is for the Spider-Man 3 fans, right? We've only got 4 notes in this one. We've got D, C, B flat, and A, the 5th, 3rd, 1st, and open strings on that A string. And we get kind of 4 little bursts. We get 2 Ds, then we get D, C, and then we get C, B flat. Sorry, 2 B flats, not C, B flat. And then B flat to A. So we get da-dun, da-dun, ba-bum, ba-bum. So we're kind of getting 2 Ds and then a D before that C, and then 2 B flats, and then a B flat before the A flat. So we're getting essentially 3 Ds, 1 C, 3 B flats, 1 A. So with the track once more, 2, 3. Like I said, this one's probably the simplest one so far. For our final bass line, we find Mr. Brown deep in the trenches of funk with bass player Gordon Edwards with this classic track, Funky President. 2, 3, Here we go. Whole bar of rest there, 3, and let's move to the next section. Here we go. Yeah, this is such a cool bass line, and there's 3 parts to it. The first is this phrase. Very, very simple, just starting on E flats, 6th fret on the A string, 8th fret on the G string, and then we get the D flat, 6th fret on the G string, and our rhythm is on the 1, as always with the low E flat. The high E flat is on beat 3, then a 16th note rest, and then D flat to E flat, and then E flat again on the end of 4. Then we get this little thing. Yeah, a little skip note, and then F, G flat, and G, 10th, 11th, and 12th frets on the G string. That's our first kind of phrase. This is the coolest part of the song, I reckon. Then we've got this little connecting phrase, which is just octaves going down from our E flat, so E flat, D, D flat, C, and then we get down to our B right there. And when we get to this B on the 2nd fret of the A string, we play this. It's almost like a Bo Diddley rhythm on that B. Then we get that open string at the end of the phrase, then back up to the B, then a full bar of rest, repeat 4 times, and then we get this 3rd part of the line. It's a 3-note phrase. We've just got G flat, A flat, and B, or technically this would be C flat, but who thinks in terms of C flat, right? 4th and 6th frets on the D string, then 4th fret on the G string. We're actually starting on the G flat, then up to the A flat twice. Before we get this little 16th note run, we hit the B, then a little ghosted note. I kind of ghost on this A flat right here before going back down to the G flat. So we get... Then we get the exact same thing happening a tone down over that G flat minor chord. Then it all repeats, so the whole thing with the track sounds like this. 3 and... On the 1, on the 1, give that some. Here's our connecting phrase. Here we go. Bo Diddley. 1, 2, full bar of on the. Let's move to the next section here. And. Yeah, such a cool line. Now, there are a few places in this line and some of the others that are a little bit tricky, so you may have to slow them down and really take things one note at a time. And to make that as easy as possible, I've not only made the tabs and notation for these bass lines available on becomeabassist.com, I've also included some slower practice tracks so you can take things at your own speed, work your way up to the performance tempo. So if you want all the tabs, notation, the regular speed, and the slower practice tracks, just click the link in the description or right here. fill out the form on that page, and I'll send you every last little thing you need to start getting on the one with these James Brown bass lines. I will see you in there.